As you know, we're going to have a speaker on wine today. We have a very robust wine industry, and I've got a little bit of information on our speaker. Wine is more than a beverage. It's a powerful tool for connection. Wine can be a cultural connector to build community through hospitality. Today, Arael Gomez Tello will explore how wine plays a key role in shaping community, supporting local economies, and creating meaningful human experiences. Through real examples from the Mexican wine movement, he will highlight how hospitality, storytelling, and intention can transform wine into a platform for positive impact. Ariel is a wine curator who is both the director of food and beverage at Hotel Amate and the founder of Disruptivo Wines. He focuses on creating meaningful experiences through a blending of wine, culture, and human connection. Highlighting emerging wine from Mexico, Ariel emphasizes sustainable practices and the evolving role of wine as a bridge between communities, tourism, and local identity. Please help me welcome Ariel to Rotary.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Good morning. First of all, thank you for Rotary Midday for having me here. Thanks for to Robin for reaching out and putting everything together so I can give this little talk about my passion in life, which is wine and hospitality. My name is Arael Gomez Tello. I currently serve, actually, my position just changed a little bit this week as experience and public relations manager at Hotel Amate, but I still the wine curator. And I develop programs, experiences, and all kind of products for food and beverage at this place at the Hotel Amate. And also, I'm the founder of Disruptivo Wines with Maria, my wife, here present. Um, we start this distribution company focused on curating wines with a soul and experiences with these wines, and we work on the emphasis of sustainability, authenticity, and meaningful narratives. That's why we call it disruptivo. I will talk about it for later. I'm, I dedicated most of my professional life through to hospitality and wine, like I said, and I have worked in this area for 25 years, and as a sommelier, and I am a sommelier for over 22 years now. And throughout this journey, I have had the opportunity to work with both large and small companies, uh, small projects, and honestly, to me, also hospitality has allowed me to have the experience in almost every part of this industry. I mean, I've been in restaurants, events, wine programs, operations, guest experience, team leadership, distribution, of course, and community-driven concepts. I believe in that. After all these years, one of the most important things I've learned is that hospitality is ultimately not only about service, it's about people, it's about creating spaces where connection can happen easily and naturally. And that idea is what eventually led me to these reflections I'm sharing with you today. Before I begin, as you may know, English is not my first language, so maybe some Spanglish appears during the presentations. Consider that as a part of the cultural experience. Well, most people think wine is about aromas, luxury, pairings, and maybe status sometime. And of course, technical quality matters. I'm not talking bad about good wines. I love good wines. I love great wines. But after years working in this industry, and I have come to believe that wine is actually about something much deeper. Wine is about people, and it's about connection, and it's about storytelling, identity, and community. Today, I would like to share why I believe wine can become a powerful cultural tool for human connection and positive impact. Okay, I mean, for thousands of years, I would say more than 6,000 years, the wine has existed among with the humanity, and it's been crucial to gatherings, to friendship, to family, to spiritual rituals, and for important conversation and celebrations. And I think humanity preserved wine not just for its taste. We preserved it. We preserved wine because of for the experience around it. The table, the conversation, the feeling of belonging. And I see this constantly in hospitality. People may forget exactly what they ate or what they drank when they go to a restaurant or to a hotel, but they rarely forget how a place made them feel. And that's where hospitality and human connection is important because even when service fails, when service is imperfect, the genuine hospitality, the human connection, uh, still have the power to save the experience, even sometimes makes it better or more unique. For example, I started this work at Hotel Amate uh, almost a year ago, and I saw this empty spot. This uh, please, I wouldn't accept this, recognize this affirmation, but all next to that place, disconnected to community. Only restaurants safe for the hotel guests, which were a few of them. And I started. I came out with different ideas for revenue creation, especially, but with the as well the idea of creating something for some spaces for wine and also community and bringing community to the spot because it's a beautiful space and it was a shame to have it next to zero people from local community. So I came out with this idea, Wine Wednesday, and it still happened since then. And and it started like just like a wine tasting event. I mean, boost that that was supposed to boost our portfolio with disruptive wines, and and more than just a restaurant activity and a community commercial idea and a way to create movement and revenue during the week. Over time, something very interesting started to happen. People started arriving for wine, for the wine experience, wine lovers. And after weeks, people stayed for connection, for human spaces to share. Of course, the groups started forming naturally, and people became friends with each other, and that happened magically, and still happening. And I like this. Um, I realized what I already knew, but well, because wine's wine, and wine naturally lowers barriers between people, creates conversation organically. In many years, in many ways, sorry, Wine Wednesday become what I call a social experiment here in San Miguel community, because I gather sometimes wine lovers, people who doesn't know anything about wine, and just want to hang out, and they start the not I mean people who's just curious about wine, they become more curious and more knowledgeable with the wine after tasting, as after um, everything that we show there. We have producers, we have wineries from all over I mean importers, wine brands that to show to to get exposure, and and it's become a very unique and special ecosystem around wine here in San Miguel, and that saved my job actually. Um, and it's a tripartite win, because I mean the wineries gain exposure, the the restaurant generates revenue, and of course, the most important, people create community. And like I said, many of my guests actually are becoming wine connoisseurs. Um, so this is my own local experiment. That's a beautiful experiment. This photo shows one of the first wine Wednesdays we had with a local natural wine producer, Natalia Garambullo, and that's more or less what we have, and we promote to what's through WhatsApp, mailing, etc. So you're interested to join the list, just let me know. Then, honestly, working through disruptive wines taught me something very important. Even though wine distribution is technically a B2B business, business to business, because we're consulting restaurants, I really, in really, it, in reality, sorry, it often becomes a hospitality business too, disguised as a B2B. Because at the end of the day, we're not just moving products. We listen to our clients, we sit with them at the table, we taste wines together, we exchange ideas, we propose or suggest revenue ideas for them. We help them create concepts, pairings, experiences, and projects. Over the time, the professional relationships often become genuinely human connection, human relationships, and where is trust, there's collaboration, emotional connection, sometimes even the friendship. And I think that happens because hospitality at its core is really about caring for people, not just commercial exchange. There's humanity behind. And this is why we aim to long-lasting relationships with our clients, relationships based not only on business, but on mutual support, trust, and understanding. Well, ultimately, there's people talking to people. This also became part of the philosophy behind Disruptivo, behind its creation, and the idea we started in 2022. Um, Sometimes people hear the word disruptivo and associate it with rebellion or confrontation, or I mean, and that's not actually the meaning. The For me, and actually what it is, what I what why we choose this word for our personal brand is disruptions means proposing a different perspective. We're like the new 70s dis mind disruptors, like hippies, aka, Um, interestingly, in wine, the newest trends are actually very human trends. There are more sustainable, more transparency, more family projects, organic farming, identity, intention. Actually, there's a back to basics trend, uh, and that makes very unique projects, and that helps a lot in the local wine industry. The future of wine actually is not necessarily more technological. In many ways, it's more human, and that's why I love this uh, current time in wine industry and wine business and in being here and as a sommelier. And that become one of the ideas behind disruptive wines, tapping into that special projects, tapping into these soulful wines, and to bring them to the tables here in San Miguel and in this entire region. And so we curate wines and wineries with all of this, plus very meaningful stories. And regarding as well in hospitality, uh, I would say just people rarely remember the tasting notes of a glass of wine. They remember, like I said before, with the restaurant experience, they remember what they felt, who was sitting next to them while they was drinking the wine, the conversation, and that's how we help people create stories and make more successful their experiences and create more value to their places, to every one of our clients. Um, and one thing, I'm sorry, yeah, here we are. One thing I understood is that storytelling does much more simply make a wine interesting. Of course, storytelling also creates emotional connection, and the emotional connection is what I think creates community. The shared values, for example, people. What I understood as well during the Wine Wednesday thing is that people uh, don't gather around products, around the sophistication of the idea of being a wine connoisseur. Of course, there are some, but even these people goes next to the people who share the value with them, who share the point of view. They gather as well around meaning, and all the human stories are recognized um, themselves in. So that's why storytelling in wine and in almost every product. I mean, in my on my side of the experience around food, around a chef story, around a sommelier story, a brand, etc., matter so much here in our industry and our community. And when that happens in the case of the wine, when people hear the story behind a winery, uh, or there's a family, there's a struggle, there's a vision behind, but that happens the same when it's a restaurant as well. For example, oh, there's a struggle. These guys have been working the mile, and they do a lot of put a lot of passion on what they do, and that creates recognition and sense of uh, of community as well. So belonging at the very end is what we want. I would I'm going to start regarding on the storytelling thing, how the Mexican wine movement it's becoming very very important, the storytelling, and they are creating very visionary brands, especially here in our wine region, which by the way is recognized this year as the best wine region in Mexico. That's deserve a lot of kudos. And I would start talking about Viñedos Arcángeles, this winery from Dolores Hidalgo. The owner created, I mean, the winery has a philosophy and their organic farming, natural winemaking, but the wines are very elegant, nothing funky, nothing, you know, when people hear it's natural wine, organic farming, it's like, but the wines are very well done, elegant. I put my word on them, on these guys. But for example, this Ulysses, the owner, created a whole story, a narrative around his wines, and maybe you don't see the label, but the labels are called Canto de Sirenas, and he created the name and the brand through the myth of Odysseus. Wanted to hear the sirens without losing his path on his way to Ithaca. So he tied himself to the mast of the ship and told his crew to put wax on their ears so they don't untie him while he was sailing towards his destination. So there's a story of temptation, there's a story of discipline, purpose, and human journey. And by the way, Ulysses means Odysseus. It's basically same character. So with that storytelling, people never forget what they have in the glasses, and that's the whole point of what he does. He does that and becomes narrative, emotional, and you're touched with that story. You'll tap into that. You'll never forget what Canto de Sirena means, right? My other example is Dos Búhos, San Miguel wine. I really like these wines. It's a beautiful story here in San Miguel. It's a family project created with an artistic vision and a deep connection to place. This wine inspires, actually, this winery inspired a lot of new wineries because they're one of the first ones here in San Miguel creating this wines cutting edge with vision to the more developed markets in the country and also in the world because they're exporting to Tokyo, to California, to different well developed wine markets. Um, but the human side of the project is that nowadays, after almost 15 years, there are people working at the winery still the same from the beginning, and they're very well developed people from this local area, this community, and um, and that's their identity right now, and that's beautiful what they done and that what they taught to these people. Sometimes wine projects create impact in ways that go far hospitality itself. For example, Casa Anza in the Cerritos community, if you're driving toward Querétaro, the the little town where that are the speed bumps, you make a right and drive, I don't know, uh, 2 kilometers maybe. There's this little spot, this a ranch where they breed buffaloes and different cattle, and they changed the vision of the project because the owner of the ranch saw all the migration that was taking in this community, and since wine and the taking care of wine and wine industry, wine making, wine producing takes work during the entire year, even though there are no barrels, there's no fermentation. There at some points there are grapes to take care of, or vines to that need to be pruned, whatever. So it's a um, yearly work. So he started this project thinking of mitigating migration, so people found new opportunities here in their hometown and didn't take the risk to going somewhere else to looking for better opportunities. And that's when I wrote sometime an article of this Casanza winery, and that's the keynote is where wine stops migration. Another from abroad um, wine projects that I would like to tell, but it's also about storytelling and Mexican wines, but combined to the wine culture. For example, this Parajes del Valle, sustainable sustainable project in southern Spain, uh, where it's one of the only I known um, that's 100% inclusive and woman driven. I mean, there's women. 100% of the people working at the project is women, from production, from vine pruning to financial and export international sales. It's a beautiful project. It's also very inclusive to all kind of people, different preferences and stuff. Everything has a space in the project, and they're very popular. Also, there's this little a story of Parajes del Valle. After at one of the early wine fairs in Europe, they didn't have the printed labels ready, and they were meant to receive them at the fair, but they didn't show up. So the winemaker started writing on the bottles what was in what the wine was. So this human touch made them what they are, and I mean, there's no good resolution of the photo, but that's their identity. this human mistake and this imperfection very wabi-sabi of them, and that's what they are, and that's their, I would say again, their identity. And last but not least, Cycles Gladiator, a project of wine, easy drinking from California. Um, Very interesting because they wanted to do wines very affordable, and easy drinking, and but nice wines as well. But regardless of the quality of the wine, which is good, um, they started. I mean, they used this image of the 19th century as a label, which is the Cycles Gladiator is one of the sorry, of the French initial French brands of bicycles that entered to the United States, and that publicity was aiming to female liberation. So that's the real um, image of what it was. These cartels of the billboards, carteles en español. I warned you about the Spanish thing. Um, and also they're doing partners. It's not just publicity. It's they're doing partnerships with organizations such as for Success, which it's a nonprofit brand that actively work with women, empowering, give them clothes for a job interview, etc. And it's very meaningful what they do for women in California. So that's part of the narrative, but it's real as well. So that's why I believe wine genuinely strengthens communities. Because when we talk about wine, we're not just talking about bottles and fermented grapes. We're talking about farmers, restaurants, hotels, artists, musicians, chefs, servers, drivers, tourism, families, local economies like San Miguel economy. And one bottle of wine can support an entire ecosystem of people, especially in places like here, San Miguel, where hospitality and human connection are already part of the culture. And perhaps that's why wine matters so much to me personally, not because of prestige, not because of luxury, because wine creates spaces where people connect more honestly, where stories are shared, where the barriers often um barriers soften, sorry, and community forms naturally. So in times like this, where we're so connected digitally and digitalmente, um, we're more alone than we ever did before. So that's why I think we need this connection through hospitality, through spaces where we can share like this. There's no wine, too bad for me, but I should bring samples. Next time I will. But that's the whole point of this, making bigger and more strength communities to be more open, more connected, and more human. Thank you very much. Any questions?
We have a question on Zoom that says, in Canada and elsewhere, non-alcoholic beverages are gaining popularity. Non-alcoholic beer is well established, but also non-alcoholic wine and even non-alcoholic spirits. Sometimes it's for health or outdoor activities. Alcohol doesn't mix well with certain medications. Are any local producers looking at making these beverages, like non-alcoholic, to include the broader audience?
Yes. Not right now. I think for what I know, Mexican wine industry, it's very young still, but it's working on a non-alcoholic and a non-alcoholic industry. Beer has done that. Wine is not ready yet, I guess, but I am pretty sure, and I know people are working on this. Anyways, it's like I said before, it's not about the alcohol, it's about the experience, the social gatherings.
Yeah, hello, and that's why I've got to apologize. I told him when I came in here that I'm allergic to alcohol. I don't drink, so this is going to be boring to me. But I was wrong. Uh, it is, and I forget that it is so much more about community and being together. Because of my fear, I forget that. So I apologize.
No problem. Yes, but of course, it's a sometimes alcohol. It's a could turn against us. We need to, I mean, to be in control every time. Yes, neither me.
Hi, just a quick question. How many producing wineries are there in the SMA area here?
In the San Miguel area, uh, I have 5 established wineries in San Miguel area, five or six, and because the entire region covers San Miguel and Dolores cities, but Dolores has like another 5 or 6 as well. So it's an emerging wine region, but it's very well known. Actually, there are a lot of San Miguel wines in the major and the main restaurants in Mexico City, for example, rather than Coahuila or other states. So it's a very interesting and appealing wine region.
What makes this region um, geologically so much better place to raise wine, to grow wine?
Well,
Um, is it the calcium, the iron?
in this the higher part of the wine region, I mean near next to the Picachos, and that the winemaker and owner of Dos Bujos told me at some point is that there's volcanic soils, and that makes it very unique in this part, and the dry areas and the thermal amplitude in this higher part and the lower part, I mean on the road towards Dolores, for example, it makes it more balanced, and that's one of the reasons. But the climate, it's important too. The rainy season plays against the wineries all the time, but there's there's drought all over the year, so goes very well to the vines. They just have to know when to harvest to make a proper wine. And the climate, even though we're Mexican central regions are not in the wine belt like California, even Baja California or Spain, etc. We are, by due to the altitude, we have a very unique climate that it's proper to wine making. Thank you very much.
Ariel, thank you very much. That's been very interesting. Thank you for enlightening us and just a small token of our appreciation. So thank you so much for joining us this morning.
It's been a pleasure.
Oh.